my buddy and I wanted to trade together using private chat, so I can post my trade ideas in the chat for him, and vice versa. He can give me his trade ideas from maybe himself or the room that he belongs to, because we each belong to different rooms. So we found in one of those rooms, we found a spreadsheet that you see here. You can have it for a small donation if you can find it. So this is an example of what it looks like. I just want to show it because even though I want to talk about how we exchange ideas using this spreadsheet, but we've gradually improved not only on these formula, but we've designed something called day plan, and later on we've designed something called reverse day plan, and that's what I want to show today, how we use this to exchange trading ideas. But you can get an idea here what it looks like, and you know, from the moment someone enters his price and so on, there's a lot of stats that gets added here, and also it's designed to keep track of the strategies used, the mistakes, or the reason for the mistake and the reason for the success also. Box for comments and the source even, i.e. Where did it come from? Is it a personal idea? Is it his idea, my idea, someone else's idea, a room idea? So this way we can keep track of the success ratio, of course, and run some stats on this. And you know, the spreadsheet has charts and so on. But beyond the improvement that we've made to the spreadsheet, we've designed something that we can work together called day plan. And for example, if you take a look here at this series of rows here, this position sizing, the moment we have a trade ID, so we receive a trade ID from a room. So let's say Tesla, so TSLA, put Tesla here. The spreadsheet will search the name of the company, put the ticker here, and this is all optional fields, of course. Even the company is an optional field, but it fills here the price, the volume average, and the number of shares traded. And also that information can be modified or even eliminated or added. You can add all of these things. This is a function of Excel, a new function of Excel, I should say. So all these things can be quoted on the fly with this Excel Office 365. Now, once one has entered the ticker, then it's building in the plan. So if the plan is, for example, to go long, so we would go long, and let's say we want to go long at $291. So typically there's two ways of going about it. The first thing to decide, of course, is the entry price. So it's always the entry price that gets determined first. And now the person can either decide the target or decide the stop. Now typically, mostly from the rooms we belong to, it's the risk that gets assessed first, more so than the profit or the target, the profit target. So because it's the risk that gets assessed first, normally we put the stop first. So for example, if we want to risk $1, so, or if the chart says that the best place to put the stop is at 290, and that's just an example, of course, the spreadsheet automatically suggests, based on the reward ratio that we've established here, that could be the target price. So because we're looking for 2-to-1, we can have our target price at 293. Now, if we say we'd like to have a 3-to-1 profit, risk ratio, reward risk ratio, at 3-to-1, then of course this price would probably go up to 294. Now this is just a suggestion, of course, so because the suggestion, the target can be, of course, determined by the chart. So for example, let me change this to 3-to-1. So now we're suggesting 294 as the target. And if, as soon as we put the target, based on our parameters, it will suggest the number of shares we could have. Now what determines this number of shares? And of course, a pretty complex formula, but it's basically what you have in your chart data in terms of, what you're willing to risk. So as you can see here, this account, this sample anyway, has a $30,000 size. Of the $30,000, if one wants to limit the capital use on any given trade, we do that here. The percentage of portfolio tradable, actually per trade, would be in this case 50%. The risk per trade at 0.5% of the $30,000, which is 147. The reason it's 147 because it accounts for the platform commission. So in this case, we put a $1 platform commission, and we're assuming there's 2 entries and 1 exit. I'm sorry, yeah, actually it should be, yeah, it could be 2 entry, 1 exit, or 1 entry and 2 exit, depending how. But we're assuming an average of 3, so this is why it's 147 instead of 150 on a 0.5% of $30,000. So the max commitment here, based on all this, would be 14,997, and trade would take 102 trades to blow the 15,000 in this case. So 100 times 147. So that's what it would take to blow the $15,000. So that's how these numbers are determined. Everything is set here. So let's go back to the day plan. So here's what happened. As we enter the data, we're suggesting here based on the commitment we're willing to make and the risk ratio 50 shares, 52 shares, but let's make a round number and put 50. The moment we put 50, the system calculates the potential loss per share, the potential reward per share, the average target. The average target is 294 because we only have one target. But let's say, for example, we decide to come out at 294 for 50% of the profit, and put 293. So let's put the first we come out at 293, and then we're going to come out again at 294. And you can see now that the average target is 293.50. So it makes an average of these two numbers. So, and of course, if we decide to be more aggressive, we come out at 75% here and 25% here, of course, because it has to total. So now, so it's 293.25 because we take more money at 293 and a little bit less at the 294. So, and that would mean a $112 profit with a commitment of $14,000 capital use. So basically, if this trade doesn't work, it's a loss of $50. And the risk to reward ratio is 2.3 to 1. So, and if we go back to our 294 here, because there's no number in the second target, then it will assume that we're not using the 75-25, and automatically it will give us a 3-to-1 ratio, which is the case. So if someone decide, instead of going with the stop first, if somebody, for example, let's play Pandora, we decide to go long at $10, and this time we're very clear on our target, so we want to make sure we aim for that perfect target, let's say of $12. So instead of giving us a potential target, this time it is giving us, based on our 3-to-1 ratio, a potential stop. In other words, if we put the stop as suggested at 9.33, we will have our perfect 3-to-1 ratio. This is based on this ratio here. Now, in order to see the ratio, we have to put the number of shares. So it's also suggesting that we are able to buy 219 shares to respect our risk, preset risk. So 219, and you see it's giving us a perfect 3-to-1 ratio. Now, if we go with 200 shares, we still have a 3-to-1 ratio, so we'll keep a round number here. So we started with a 3-to-1 at 9.33, but let's say we want to have a very tight stop loss because we see this, there's a great support, let's say at 9.75, just to take a number here. So now it's giving us an 8-to-1 success ratio if the trade works out. And that would be pretty aggressive, so we may say, okay, we'll come out a little bit sooner here at 11. Not 111, but 11. And we'll take the next one at 12. So now we have to 5-to-1, still very aggressive. And what is risk here? And if we decide, and here it shows you, so we'd make 150, we'd make another $100, so we'd make a total of 250. The average target would be 11.25, and the risk again would be $50. So here's what happens next. This is the beauty of this plan. And we'll do one more here with Apple. We'll do a short, and the next part you're gonna love. So this price is at 221. We decide to short this at 222. I'm using round number here to keep it simple. Again, the same mistakes, nothing where it goes. So 222. So that would be our enter price. And if this thing moves to 223, we have to stop. So it takes into account the fact that we selected short here. So it's suggesting that our target profit on this, if we want to have our 3-to-1 ratio, should be $219 if we buy 68 shares. But we know that this, if it works in our favor, may only go to 221, so we'll choose a totally different target than the one suggesting. 221 is our target. And we're going with 100 shares. So in this case, our ratio is 1-to-1, and we're risking here $100. So maybe we'll adjust this because it's quite aggressive. So let's go with 20 shares. And we can probably put a tighter stop on this one to 222.5. And now we have a 2-to-1 ratio, and it's red because it's not respecting our target of doing a 3-to-1. But let's go with a 2-to-1 because nothing is cast in stone, as they say. So this is what we're looking at here in terms of trade, and then we go and put the trade in our broker software. Okay, here's the beauty. Everything we just did here got built automatically in these windows. So if I take this and copy it. And I go to my chat window, and I'll do that here. And I go to my chat window and I say, hey buddy, this is my plan either for today or this is the trade I'm about to take. And here it is, all laid out. Now if I prepare this in advance, for example, if I go to a site like a Bullish Bear and they give us their trade, we can go beyond just putting this data here, because on the right, let me go there now. Let's say our trade here, which one was this again? Okay, let's go with Tesla. Not that it makes a difference for this portion, but on Tesla we decide that we have taken the strategy because it was a whole number break. Just an example here. And the reason we're going to take it is we need a confirmation that it's, let's say, moving with the market. Now there's a lot of ways to confirm, of course, and we have, it could be earnings, it's a double top, a double bottom, it's a cup and handle. So all of this can be modified naturally to fit your style or the type of strategy that that one use. And we can put a comment like be careful with this Tesla. No kidding. And let's say this came from, actually let's use Bullish Bear. Depending which room you belong to or free service, you can get IDs, or it could be your own ideas. It could be in the list. We have our name there, or my idea. So again, this gets built automatically as we're adding this information at the bottom here, and we can easily take this. And again, hey buddy, this is my plan for today, or this is my plan for the next half hour. Because there are some very good rooms that share their trade ideas ahead of time. They tell you ahead of time, listen, if Tesla hit 291, I'm taking it. The risk here is 290. I belong to a room like this myself, and it's you don't always have the time to pre-plan, because sometimes the price target they have for entry is reached almost immediately. But if you prepare your trades in advance, early morning or the night before, you can come up with all these numbers, including the strategy, and the confirmation we'll be looking for, and you can even add comments and the source of it if it's your own idea, because over time we know like, oh yeah, that source is a pretty good source, and I trust this idea a little bit more, so let me look into it. And of course you have to make your own decision and look into it. But here's the thing, now I receive something like this from my buddy. He pastes that in the chat. He say, hey buddy, this is what I have in mind. So I can take this and go to the reverse, because if I decide to take that trade, I go to the reverse here, the reverse spreadsheet. So in this case, I do the opposite. I come here and I put here the ID that was given to me, and my buddy gave me an ID. I put it here, see, number 2, and automatically I see the whole thing here, which allows me, because maybe I have a different sizing, a different style of trading, and I say, I don't want to do this, and I see something different. So I decide to take a 2-to-1, so I'm going to change my stop. So I can remodify all those numbers that my buddy just gave me, even change the strategy if I see a different style of strategy for myself. And the beauty again of this is, if you're using this as a journal, because you're journaling here with your comment of what happened, you can use this data to feed each of every month. So I haven't set it up now, but each and every month can pull the data from the day plan. And as far as I'm concerned, I wish I would have had something like this in the beginning, because I did lose money in the early stages of my trading career. I did lose quite a bit. I'm still recouping some. But if I would have had something to control the risk, I mean, even with these TradeNet account where you have so little money that you can risk in order to succeed, you can control the risk. Because if you cannot trade, you risk more than $50 per trade, I mean, you just have to change the number of shares. It's a matter of changing the size, maximum size of the risk. And 20 shares, let's do it 20 shares. Tesla, look, it's a $60 profit. You risk $20 to make $60. So that gives you an overview. I mean, there's so much more to this spreadsheet, because we're actually working right now of an export-import function to move that data in trading view. But for me, again, I mean, this is such a great tool to have all the trades plan, to share those. I mean, imagine if you're in a group, imagine if you're even a moderator. If a moderator planned the trade and put all this together in advance and gives it to people and gives their room this reverse day plan. So the moderator gives all the trade. Okay guys, put that in your spreadsheet. Go to the spreadsheet, put in the spreadsheet here. Boom, all the trades are built up. We'll improve upon it and maybe make it available for a token fee, so that we can pay each other for the time we spent on this. Okay, thank you for listening.